Hello, good evening.
Hey.
Hello. I'm live. Are you live, Hans?
Wow, I'm here.
Just about.
Yeah, after all that.
Oh, dear. So I've got a massive, massive welcome and a huge thank you to Hans that's sitting in for me for Heather today, who's gone off gallivanting in the Blessed Bee, which was a little bit last minute, I believe, but I think she's having a whale of a time because I've not heard from her at all. So she's probably drowning in Tia Maria coffee as we speak.
Perfect.
What better way than spending a sunny afternoon in Tia Maria coffee? Anyway, I've got a big welcome to Hans. First time of being on the Witching Hour, and Hans is going to be talking to us about Neolithic spheres, which of course have an alternative name, don't they?
Yes, they do. The Scottish balls, but not the ball kind of underquilts. No men in this description at all. Just the rock kind. And we'll stick with that. That's another show.
We'll stick with that, yeah. That's an after 9 p.m. job, that one, I think.
Exactly. And I would know nothing about that.
Oh dear. So we've got a couple of people in. We've got Redwing in. Hello, good evening. Hope you're well today. And we've got Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Hope you're well. And we've got Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you? Hi. Hope you're well today. It's been a lovely day today, actually. I've been out in the garden listening to strange noises. Yeah. Okay, Hans. Chris says it would be nice to see your face. And all we're looking at is a t-shirt. So can you just tweak your phone or sit back a little bit? How's that?
Well, again, I'm being wobbly. Or I just hold it. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah. If you do that though, then you won't be able to show your wares.
I can show them. I just have to hold it. It might be a bit wiggly. Let me plug you in as well.
That's
exciting.
Just in case
we run out of battery. There you go.
Run out of juice. You want to run out of juice halfway through? That won't do at all, will it?
No, that won't do. No, not at all. Juice is always good.
It is. It is. I've got juice. I've got
juice. Yep. Cheers, everybody. I've got juice.
Cheers. So, Hans, would you like to introduce yourself and tell? We've got Jennifer in as well. Hello. Would you like to introduce yourself and just say a little bit about yourself and what you do and so on and so forth?
Well, I'm a mixed bag. I've had a lot of training in lots of areas. Obviously done 3 traditional witchcrafts to high priest and high priestess. I've done a lot of shamanic stuff, the shamanic course, shamanic training in different lineages of that. And I've also done animalism and then lots of other things besides. That's too long to mention. And that's obviously why I decided to do, I decided to write a book in connection with going much deeper than what's around already, if that makes any sense. Because here in the British Isles, we're kind of disconnected from our tradition, our real ancient tradition. And though it's there, it's hidden deep, and finding that knowledge is really quite hard.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go way further back of this land. I'm born here, so I wanted something from here. And my guides had told me to write this book, and I thought, great, I'm dyslexic. This is going to be some challenge and a half, right? And I'm going, no, I'm not going to do it. And I kept getting the slap. No, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. I'm like, wait, no. So I started 12 years ago, and it was going to be all about going right back to Neolithic time, to prehistoric man, and connecting with that information, journeying or like mainly journeying, but also meditation and connecting to find information that would help for here and now. Like we're going through global warming, climate change, and our ancestors went through that. So that was the start of it. And I did a load of research and was finding I'm going too much down the research way. I need to stick with doing the journey work and actually the deep connection. And in the process of doing that, I ended up stumbling on the Neolithic walls. Yeah, not the Scottish kind, but the Scottish kind, but not this kind. And that was actually done by, her name is Dorothy Marshall. She wrote a paper. You can find that on the internet. And it was fascinating. And I'm of the stone people. And I've done my I Ching in the 9 key, and I'm mountain. So I'm solid, as you can see. I'm like solid. There's nothing skinny about me. I'm a solid rock. That's it. When I move, I plod. You know? So I'm rooted. So it was really important to connect with that. So the mountain came, and I understood the mountain. I thought, okay, this is really important. And I love stones. So obviously looking at the Neolithic spheres was really important for me. And when I did the research, I found that there was like 525 found in the British Isles, particularly from up north to Scotland. And I thought, hang on a minute, there's got to be something here. You know, these aren't just pretty little artifacts that someone's decided to do on a Sunday afternoon and carve, because, you know, you're going to be thinking about your food. You're going to be thinking about your shelter. You're not going to be thinking, oh, I've got to make a nice little rock to, you know, for everyone to see later on in life. You know, you're going to be thinking of other things. So it led me down the course of these were really important. So, you know, I was told to do more journey work on them, and I devised a system that connected them to mountains, to forest, and to streams. And I did them with like 13, and they were also covered in Ireland. So this was the British Isles, basically, in Ireland. And then I thought, hang on, I need to look at this more in depth for a personal level and for personal working. So I've shown that actually, you know, you need to look at your personal number, which was done by numerology. So people can go and look at that. That's your birth number. And that was really important because that would pick out the sphere that was important to you. So all these spheres have different nodules on, you know, I think from 0 through to something like 36, maybe even more. So they mean something. They must mean something. You know, they don't just carve a little thing and put little circles on and go, that's nice. And, you know, all these stones have chevrons on and the spiral on, very similar to the, you know, the paintings, the cave paintings. So there must be a link. So I thought, no, I'm going to do some more work on it, and found out the numerology number of my birth and thought, yes, this is right. And then also that then led to the color of what color I am. And then it just escalated from there. And I kept thinking, I've seen these balls before. And I then realized that I'd seen them in the chumpy stones of Peru, which the shaman used for healing. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. This is a chumpy stone. Okay, that's a chumpy stone.
Let me put the specs on.
That's a chumpy stone, right?
Wow. And that's made of stone. Yeah.
This is made of alabaster stone, I think. And the Scottish spheres this is a wooden one that's been made, are like that. So they're very similar. And obviously you put that up online. And if you look up the Towie ball, that is probably the most beautiful sphere that you can find.
Yeah. Can I interrupt you? The spheres themselves, are they all that sort of size? Or are they generally a lot bigger and they're smaller replicas that you've got there? Because I kind of imagine them as being bowling ball size.
No, this size is roughly the size, maybe a little bit bigger. So this is like, I would say, just under 2 inches. And they were actually, all of them were roughly 2.5 to 3 inches in size, all of them that have been found. That's so they fit, I would say, quite uncomfortably in a female hand, but in a male hand, they'd probably fit in the palm of the hand really comfortably. And then I did more research and found that, you know, like Ilkley Moor has lots of slabs, Neolithic slabs, that have got the sort of disc cut out, and they fit exactly the size of this sphere. And those are all around the world. You know, you think of, actually, I think Newgrange has got some of these circles and discs the same size. And it's like, well, hang on, the synchronicity of those two things, they must go together. That, you know, they must. So I did journey work and was told, yes, they do. And they represent things like you can place them in certain places to connect with certain planets and for certain magic. So I did that. That was the first thing, was finding the Neolithic sphere that represented me, which I'm an 8. So mine would have 8 points on it, or 8 nodules on it. And then I was told I had to find my mountain. And to do that, you actually go to where your place of birth is, because that's the most powerful place of your incarnation into this lifetime. Because think of the energy that brings you in to Earth and connects you for your lifetime here and now is so important. So I had to then look at like what rivers and what forests and what hills were around in Oxfordshire for me. And I basically picked several within a circle circumference of where I was born. And intuitively I journeyed. You know, you can pendulum for it, or you can intuitively get the answer of which is the right one for you. And mine was Wiccan Clumps was mine. So that's two mountains that look like two little nipples with like little trees on top, you know, and then you've got Little Wickham, which is on top of it. So that was mine. And obviously I'm connected to the River Cherwell and the Thames. So they were my specific ones for me. And how I'd recommend that you do it is you actually do your mountain first or your hill first, because obviously lots of places in the UK are flat, like, you know, get to Norfolk and Suffolk and it's like flat. But you would go to the nearest one that is closest to you. And I would do it because I like things in circles, and I would do it in a circle of circumference.
What's the relevance of the mountain? Is it so that you cover all bases of a landscape? Is that what you're referring to?
So what I did was I actually journeyed to it. So first of all, if we're going to look at landmass, in going way back, you will find that landmass was obviously one big mass. So we were all connected. So like the Americas were connected and we were all joined. We were sort of more like one continent. And within that, I think I posted on Facebook a picture of the connection of like the mountain range that went from like Iceland all the way down to most of Britain, and then the North America and South Africa. And that is the same mountain ridge. So when you actually think about it, we're all connected. And the reason for doing it was actually to make a deeper connection. You know, we all in the West feel like slightly disconnected. We can connect, but we're slightly disconnected, sort of like we're not, you know, we've moved from our place of birth, we've been invaded, we've gone and invaded other places. So there's a slight disconnection. And I did this for a woman who actually lives in Australia, and she was feeling homesick. She was born in France. And I said, okay, right, I want to know your place of birth. Let's look at the mountain ranges. Let's look at the forests. Let's look at the rivers and connect. And actually, do you know what? As a landmass, you were connected. And that was it. She wasn't homesick anymore. She actually felt really deeply connected. Yeah. And when you think about it, mountains are actually written in so many different places, and so many different countries write about mountains. You know, they are the gateway to the heavens. You know, everything's written about, you know, they touch the sky. And, you know, even now, I think in Scotland, they have festivals of lighting, you know, the peaks on the mountains. So mountains are hugely important. So it's the energy, and obviously the connection with the jumpy stones of Peru, they connect the energy and do the energy of healing from the mountains. So, you know, that it does work. Yes. And so then I looked at the forests, and how I looked at the forest was, I know that there's a book out there that's written about the connection of the roots of trees communicating with each other. And if you think about it, we have vast forests in this country. And even if they're dug up, the residue of their DNA is in the land, like the same with our ancestors. It's all in the land. We just have to connect and reconnect with it really deep. And this was like the whole key of it, was connecting so deeply that you could access the hidden information, the lost information. And I remember digging up a tree recently that was a small willow tree. It was about, I don't know, 3 foot. And I had to find the water route. And the water route went, no word of a lie, went 250 feet. So when you think of something that tiny compared to most trees are like, I don't know, well, I can look outside now, most trees are up 40 foot. When you think of that, the length of them, so they're communicating. So you could have like a forest sort of in Nottingham communicating all the way down to Scotland, and all the way up and all the way down to Cornwall. Yeah. So
especially if you think about previous trees that would have lived even if they've been cut down. I hadn't considered that before. Actually, that's a really interesting and valid point, I think.
Yeah. You know, DNA's in everything, and you know, it's about spiritually, you and I can connect, but this is about really going deep into that bit of like a sense of belonging. So we're not disconnected, because we're kind of disconnected from tribe. But when you think about it, obviously right now with the pandemic, it's really useful to really deeply connect and feel like that sense of belonging. And then when you look at the water and you look at, I don't know, the starting point of most springs and stuff comes a lot from mountains, but also If it's a subsidiary, it will go into a larger stream or river, and then that will go out to oceans and seas, and that, you know, that goes on to every shoreline around the world. So how can we just be disconnected from everybody when it, you know, everything is so connected? And it was so deep that I thought, this is how I've got to go. This is how I have to look at it. So it's really important for everybody to connect with their personal mountain, their personal woodland, and their personal river. And actually that can help empower somebody, and not only empower you, but actually, if you go to the guardians and the spirit of each place, like the mountain, the guardian spirit, and talk to them, get to know them, say hello, introduce yourself, and actually get the information. If you do that for all three, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, it's a completely different way of healing. And, you know, then you've got this sphere that you can use and utilize as because here in the West, we're very much a visual kind of, like, it sometimes has to be solid to see it, or in the here and now, you know, we have to have solid sort of sight of everything. Then we can work deeper on a deeper level, and you can place it in I mean, I tried to do it where this was a system that everybody could use. So they didn't have to be shamanic. They didn't have to be Wiccan. They didn't have to, you know, they could be spiritual. They could be druid. Everybody could use it. Everybody, you know, and empowering oneself is really important. And that deep reconnection and feeling at home is so important for people, you know. So that was the start of it. And I've written it in a book, and, you know, I've done different journey work and all kinds of things to go with it. But it's really in depth when you go into it, hugely in depth.
It's definite rabbit hole, because you start looking at one thing, don't you, and that leads to something else, and so 100%. On and so forth. But they're amazing. I mean, I've done a whole, I don't know if I can do this by one hand, but I'll see. So I made some very small ones that I can put on a belt. So I don't know if I can show you that. We'll go, wait, you got to go this way. So they're all different ones. So I did 13 of them. So they're all on a belt, and I can take them off, and I can use them for all kinds of things. So I've connected to them that way. But I use my personal one all the time for empowerment. And you can, you know, you're not just empowering for your own personal health and to heal yourself. You also can use it for, you know, other magical things, your power of intention, if you want help for something, and, you know, and also the gaining of the wisdom and knowledge that's been lost. That was the whole bit. Whole point. So would you say that it almost doubles as a talisman or an amulet?
100%. Yes. Yeah, I think so. And I think it has several, you know, I think people can journey to their own, and it will give them different information. So at different points in time, I don't, you know, nothing's set in stone. It's just for this, it's just for that. I think it's something that you can utilize and use for your own benefit, and gain knowledge for what you need, because it's actually personal to the person, you know. It's what resonates with the heart that actually works. I love them, and I mean, obviously, I'm addicted. I'm a rock junkie. Let's face it. You know, any pebble that goes in my pocket is like, oh, come on, you got to come home. You know, my trousers are falling down.
You're coming with me.
You're coming with me. It's really quite random, you know. I mean, you know, all my family are rock people. It's quite mad.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but that's how it started. It started with I needed to do some curse unraveling work, and it was really quite in depth. And that's when I found I was from the stone people, and it was like, oh my god, okay, yeah, right. And my guides were like, no, you've got to do this, and I'm like ignoring it, no. And it's ended up by being this huge thing, different healing systems. But it's open for everybody.
I noticed that obviously from the couple that you've shown already, and from what you've said, that they have different patterns and spirals and nodules and so on. Do they have their own significant meanings as well, or is it purely decorative, do you think?
No, I think they have their own specific meanings, and I think it is individual to the person journeying and doing that work. So I don't think there's one correct way or one specific way. I think it's lots of different things, you know, and I think that's really important, that it's anything spiritual for me has to be free flowing and not set and rigid, because once you set that rigidness, how can it grow and expand? And this is growing and expanding and utilizing something that was in the past, really in the past, of our culture. And these spheres are actually not just in the UK. There's bigger versions all around the world. So they've got to mean something. Got to mean something.
Yeah,
it's got to mean something.
Have they been found all over the UK, or is it predominantly in the north?
Predominantly in the north and in Scotland. Most of them have been found in Scotland, and I don't know whether that's because the land is too hilly to farm as such, whether we've lost them due to farming. And they're not found in sacred site spaces. They're found in, at the bottom of mountains or in the middle of a field. They're not, some have been found in houses, prehistoric houses, but not that many. No.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot more that do exist and yet have been overlooked as just yet another stone in the back garden and so on?
I think a lot have been pocketed. Yeah, because this report that Dorothy wrote actually says, some have gone missing. So clearly they're in someone's private collection or on someone else's bookshelf somewhere. Yeah, of course people I think would keep them, who's to say, I think there's lots of them all around, but it's very fascinating how they're all the same size and they have certain chevrons on, lots have spirals on, and they're very Pacific. It's fascinating. If you think about someone would be there like napping away, there's no way that it would take them forever. It would take them a really long time.
Yeah, definitely.
So they really were used for something very Pacific, and I think something very sacred. I feel very sacred. Yeah.
Do you have an idea of how old they are? Because I'm guessing, obviously, you're saying Neolithic, so several thousand years old.
Yeah,
but
old. Yeah.
Any inkling as to exactly how old some of these are? Do you know?
No, they just date back to the Neolithic. Maybe just in that period of time. I don't think that they can go further than that, really. But that's all I've read, that they're from that time. So when you think about that, that's far back.
It's a jolly long time ago, definitely.
Yeah, it's not like last week, is it?
No, definitely not.
It's like, when you think about your ancestors, I think most of us can think about 13 generations at a push, but no one can think back and say, "Oh, your ancestors of Neolithic time." It's like, what? Really? No, no one can think. I personally couldn't.
No, it doesn't actually compute in the mind at all, does it?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So, gaining that knowledge, I think I've written loads of different journeys to do, and it's quite fascinating, the stuff that's come up. And obviously I had to then do research and then go back and write the journey for it. And, I was looking at the cave paintings as well, and it was like huge. This thing just sent me off on a complete rabbit hole down this way and then down that way. So it's a huge amount of research that's gone into it. So it's not something I've not got, I'll just do that. It's huge. It's taken such a long time. But I recommend everybody does it. I really do. Anyone can do it.
As far as the balls themselves are concerned, do you think that everyday man would have had one? So sort of, one for the family, so to speak. Or do you think they would have been more sacred than that, and just sort of, just for the elders of the village, or for the for the holy man, or whatever? Do you think that they were used, just as daily talisman for people, or do you think they were, specific for ritual use, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think they were used for ritual use. There was a theory that went around that actually, a father would carve a bit, then it would be handed down to the son, and then, the next generation and next generation, or it might have been handed down by the women. But I feel that they weren't just for tribal use. They had a specific ritual use, whether that be for a clan, meaning of several family members, or several families in that tribe. I wouldn't like to say that would be journeyed on, I guess. But me,
isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that would change. But I do feel that they would have been looked after by someone who was of importance to the tribe or clan. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I do think they had magical purposes, and I think they were something like really, really important to predict weather, to predict where the planets would be, all kinds of things, which
Yeah.
would help, you know, in their day-to-day life of finding food, etc.,
Yeah.
of finding shelter and being shelter when it was needed. Yeah, 100% I
Mm.
do. And I think for healing. And, you know, if some found in fields, then that proves, you know, like today we put crystals in our plant pots to help our plants grow. Some of us do. And it's like, well, actually, were they used? Because a lot of them made it out of granite. So that's a heavy stone to carve, by the way. And if they're buried in the soil, maybe it was to actually get a bountiful crop, you know, and bring that energy of the certain planets, etc., to that.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's huge, isn't it? While you were talking, obviously, you know, you can't sort of think about Neolithic stones without thinking about Stonehenge. Well, I can't anyway. And Avebury and so on. Has there been, I mean, I know you said predominantly they've been found in the north, but obviously with Stonehenge and Avebury, it was very much for planetary alignment and time of year with solstices and so on and so forth. Do you think that there's a connection with these stones and what was going on up north to what's essentially in the southern half of the UK with Avebury and Stonehenge and so on? Because obviously there's stone circles all over the place. But
well, I see Avebury slightly different. Avebury have, I mean, I'm assuming people know this, but they have the face of the old gods, and you can see certain faces on them and various things, and I think they were actually connected to certain clans and certain tribe members, which then give rites of passages, and there's like little notches on some of them that you can see. So I think they were very relevant, and they would have been used in ceremony 100%. You know, it's just that we haven't found any down here, and I don't know whether that's because the land is easier to plough or to manage down here than it is up in Scotland. I don't know. I can't answer that. I haven't done that journey to find that out yet, but I will do. It will be on the list, you know. But I think that it's really important to note that, you know, they did travel. You know, we know that we've had ice ages where our ancestors had to move and go across to Europe and back and forth and back and forth. So they could be anywhere, and they could be in Doggerland for all we know. You know, I know that lots hidden in that North Sea. You know,
exactly.
well, what we found in there will be really interesting.
Yeah, that's not somewhere you can dredge easily, is it?
No, it's not. I'll get my boat out and, you know, and take my bucket and spade.
Yeah, exactly. And put my snorkel on.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you something really interesting. That they found, you know, Lucy, there was a particular the connection with I think the ape and sort of man. They found another Lucy skull in the Rhine. So actually that's really interesting. So that blows the theory of like we all came from Africa, and they didn't know how to actually put it out there because it would actually throw the whole question out. See, the Rhine would fall into Doggerland, so it's very interesting. What could be under the sea? And it's like quite mind blowing.
Yeah, it really is, actually. Really is. Yeah.
And I think it's so important to connect to this stuff that I don't know, you know, I was given it by my guides, and it was like really, really important to actually look at and go deep into, because we're going to need it. And it was like, okay, right, just do it then, you know. Don't want to slap, I'll just do it.
So we've got a question from Jennifer, which I'm going to put up on the screen. Hi, Jennifer.
Well, I'll read that.
I'll read it to you. It's really teeny tiny for you.
I'm on a phone.
So it's really small. So Jennifer says, isn't one of the theories that in the past the sacred was more present and accessible in the everyday? So it seems possible that they could have been used for things we'd now consider mundane.
Very true. Yes. Like I'm here. Like my family's here. Yes. Like a stone marker. Yes.
Yeah. Almost like a talking stick, almost, as well.
Exactly. You know, and you know, maybe it was for trade to go and say, look, this is the trade that we can do. This is how talented we are in this, and this.
Yeah.
whole load of things. But I think, I don't think an item would have been just for just that. I think it would have had multi-purpose uses, because they've got to carry the stuff. They've got to, they've got to have pots and pans for this and that, are they? They're going to have set things for lots of different things. So yes, I think they had lots of uses. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. So other than the thank you, Jennifer. So other than the healing use that you referred to, as in spiritual healing of connecting with the land, mountain, forest, sea, rivers, and so on, do you see that they've got some kind of other healing use, such as some of the crystals have specific uses for healing? Do you see them as that too?
Yes, I do. Yes, I think that sacred patterns have a whole, that's a whole nother talk, isn't it? Sacred patterns.
Yeah.
And I think that they're very relevant. And I think, granite is an amazing stone. And I think that they would have had lots of, I think actually even now you can buy massagers that actually have nodules on exactly the same. So they could have actually very well been used for the physical body as well as the mental, emotional body and magic. So actually for anything. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that the certain spirals and everything definitely had some form of meaning that were for magic and for healing.
Yeah.
But obviously that is a kind of thing that is information that is kind of lost in a sense, and that needs to be found out. And I think that, that could lead you down a whole different, different pathway.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge amount of healing. Yeah. For physical, emotional, mental, I think. Like most crystals are. And
so they, obviously the ones that you've been referring to have been made from granite, and I'm guessing that's because granite's quite readily available in the north of England specifically. But is there a common theme throughout the world of what they're made from?
I think what's sourced, what is local to source, and easy to carve. I mean, nowadays, alabaster is the easiest stone to carve, but I think that it would be very relevant to where people were, to what they were available to get. And to carve. And some of them are massive. Some of them are really huge that you see.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
What's the size?
When you're talking massive, I'm talking about probably like 3 foot height, 2 foot, 3 foot height. So yeah, some of them are huge.
Yeah.
Are broad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they vary in size, but the sphere has always been very important, I think. For me, it's important, and it's hugely important. Yeah. And it opens up everything to a whole new thing of, the circle. For me, and how important that is. And relevant that is. And I mean that with the chumpy stones of Peru, most of them have like 3 discs within the nodule, and the 3 discs represent the lower, middle, and upper world in the shamanic sense. And I wonder whether some of them that are different sizes and different shapes actually mean the different realms of the different worlds. And also
that's plausible, isn't it?
Yeah, and also whether it's mental, mind, or physical, whether the body or outer body or this earth or I do. Yeah.
Wow.
It's huge. The whole thing is huge. It's like you could go off into so many different tangents with it, and I think it's important for people to make them personal for themselves, to do their own work and their own healing. So it's like easy in access for everybody. And it's actually fascinating, especially when you add a color to it and everything else, and what that means, and where you place it on a certain chakra. And I've actually, when I've taught it before, I got everybody to place them on, I think they started with the base chakra. Their own personal one was connected to their base chakra, and the energy was actually quite amazing. And they did journeys to, and they placed them on various chakras and did the journey work to see how it felt. So it's quite amazing. That difference. I love it. Let's face it, I love sticking rocks anywhere on my body. You
wouldn't want to put one of the 3 foot ones on your body, would you?
No, I think that would be.
I'd
probably like to lie on the top of it, like glide over the top, fall over the edge, I think.
You'd look like you're a piece of ribbon, wouldn't you?
Exactly. or a very small tortoise.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, squash.
Wow.
Yeah, that mind boggles them with that. Yeah, and how they move them. But I guess you'd roll one. Who knows?
Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating. And
Yeah.
I think lots of them have been found at the Skye Brodgar as well. I think one was found in a wall there. And that's quite a sacred place. I think that's the only one that's been found in a sacred place.
Mm.
But then we don't know where half the sacred places are because we've lost
time. Yeah.
Right. And they might very well be in sacred places.
Even the ones, as you say, that have turned up in the middle of a field at one point in time, that could have been a sacred place for many different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just fascinating. I mean, I'm really passionate about it, and I don't know. I just wish everybody had a little stone sphere in their pocket. It's like,
yeah. What do you think they would have carved them with?
They would have napping, which would be with flint. And that would have taken some time. And I've napped, and my God, you can lose your fingers quite easily. And there's lots of hatching, going on, and it would have taken a long, long time to do that. I've carved, and it, even just using proper tools that are available today.
Yeah.
Wow. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Well, certainly build your muscles up. Well, you'd be brilliant for going and hunting and gathering, wouldn't you? Your muscles like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But then I suppose that's how they probably were anyhow. I'm only speculating, but obviously it's, you sort of imagine them sort of sitting there, and they were very much in need of being lean and healthy and so on, and they would have been, I'm sure, lean and healthy and not muscle bound, but certainly would have had the strength because they needed it for everyday living.
Exactly.
Whether it was just carrying water or carrying the latest kill back to the village or whatever, you've got to be strong in order to carry something heavy back.
Exactly. And I think these were used, I believe, to find food. I don't know. I just feel they were used to multi-purpose of finding food, of understanding the weather patterns, and I think they were really significant and very important to their everyday life.
So almost like divining, like divining then.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. That's the feeling I get. And specifically when you actually look at especially Ilkley Moor, there's a specific one I can actually visualize in my head. That's a flat piece of Neolithic stone with all these cups in, and I really think that that's very relevant. It wasn't just for maybe, doing mason, actually, pestle and mortar. You wouldn't have thousands of these little holes everywhere to do this, maybe, but I feel it was very significant in something else.
Yeah.
And planetary alignment and sacred rituals that are lost, that we don't know.
Yeah. So if on this particular slab that you've just mentioned is Ilkley Moor, I think you said, if there's many divots that these little balls fit into, do you think at some point in time that would have been a sort of coming together place where people from all around would have come on certain days of the year and almost, sort of like, my family's here, plonk.
Yes.
Or our tribe is here, plonk.
Yes. Like a meeting. Totally. I do believe that they were connected to a tribe, connected to a clan, and maybe Pacific things were slightly different for different, from Joe Bloggs who lives over there to us who live here. And yes, I do think that they would have been.
Yeah.
And used for, as I said, multi-uses. And these are the things that are missing. And I think, especially with climate change, I think it's really important to connect with how we can utilize what they know to now, if that makes any sense, because they survived it. And let's face it, we're so used to having Tesco's doing our delivery, or switching the light on and having light, or lighting the fire. We kind of got a bit soft in everything's ready for us, but actually if that went in a second, how would we survive? How would we cope? A lot of us wouldn't have a clue what to do. And I think that these hold that information, and it's kind of like a divining tool in a sense that it's a physical thing that you can connect with, that connects you with the deeper. And I always think having something, exactly. So having something that's in the physical can, I think us in the West are very used to having things that we can see, touch and sense. And if you've got something there that you can really connect with and go deep with, it gives you that deeper thing. Yeah. That's what I think. And especially now, we've been so disconnected from people with this, what's been going on. It's really important to just really reconnect. It's like if you go in your garden, I mean, how many people go, hello, grass people? Think about how many blades of grass are in the grass, think you've got a whole party going on in your back garden, really. You go out there and then you go, oh wow, the plant people, hang on, I've got a sycamore. How are you, sycamore? How are you doing? And then you got, wow, then it rocks up, then you got all the spiders and all the rest of it. Massive. So you can never be alone when you really connect with that deep, on a deeper level. I mean, we can connect, as I've said before, but for me it's going deeper, and that's so important. So important.
So if somebody wanted to take your advice and try and connect with the spirit of the land that they were born in, so say they were born in point A, and point A was near these rivers, these mountains, etc. If they wanted to build a deeper connection and actually visited that place, obviously, you can't just pick up these stone balls willy-nilly because they're just not lying around for people to pick up. But would you say even taking a pebble from that place would give that connection for you to take back with you?
100%. Yeah. And I mean, anything, like any form of quartz, even if you pick up a bit of quartz that's a pebble, you can program that, and your intention is that is what that is. And it's from that space. Or you could even buy small, tiny quartz balls, and actually, because I have some that are charged with the different nodules of the balls, 100% you can. Yes, without question. And you don't have to necessarily even go to that place. You could actually, with your intention, certainly with a crystal or small crystal sphere, you could go, I want this to be the nodule that's got, I don't know, like I said, I'm an eight nodules on, and that is connected to the Wiccan clumps. Boom, down. That's done. That's what that is, and that's what that would represent. So you don't have to sort of fly all over the world to go and revisit the place. You can actually do that in your own home, and that's the beauty of this. You can do this wherever you're living, wherever you're connected at the moment in time, and to connect with where your ancestors were from or where you were born.
And you do that by visualization or meditation or journey.
Yes, whatever way suits the person, because obviously some people can't do certain things and some people can do other things. So always whatever suits the person and whatever feels right in the heart to do is how I'd recommend that they do it, because that's right for them. But anyone can do it. Like I said, when you pick your personal mountain or hill or stream or river or woodland, you can pendulum for it, you can journey on it, you can just ask spirit if you hear. There's lots of different ways so everybody can get it. Everybody.
Wow.
Really that. It's just fascinating, and I just love the fact that it's open to everybody. It's not just Wiccan, it's not just shamanic or animalist, it's not just modern day stuff, because it's going right back. How can it be modern day if you're connected to your ancient prehistoric man? It can't be that modern.
Exactly.
So it's going right back to core. And I feel it passionately here and I think because I'd done so much training in so many different things, and I'd gone off and I confess I'd gone off and done indigenous stuff that didn't sit right with me. It didn't feel right that I'd, my ancestors might have gone to that land and, raped and pillaged it. And hang on, I'm going to now come over and I'm going to take your ideas of your spiritual lifestyle. Just didn't sit right with me. And I really wanted to connect to this earth and this country where I'm born. And it felt so right when I found it. It was like, I've come home. I've come home. That's
a good feeling when you get that, isn't it?
Really fantastic. And I can't explain it. I mean, I can connect, and you've seen how I can connect and stuff, but this is really deep. This goes deeper, and it's like, yeah, I feel like my mountain's rooted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm rooted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I'm speechless about it really, because I just love it so much, and it's, you can carry it in your pocket. You can carry it anywhere.
Are they available to go and visit in museums?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think the British Museum have some, and obviously there's some in Perth, I think. You just type it in and where the Scottish Neolithic balls are on display, and you'll find loads of them. You'll find loads of them to see. I don't know if you're allowed to go and touch them, but you can see them. Yeah, there's loads of them you'll see, and some of them obviously have been worn. You've got to bear in mind they are old. But some of them, especially the Towie ball, is like pristine and absolutely amazing. Wow. You'd think some kind of artwork that is out there. And worth seeing, 100% worth seeing.
Wow.
And I think they're very Wiccan in their, well, certainly in their shapes and stuff, personally. But I like to say it's open to everybody, but I personally feel they're quite Wiccan.
But then those bases come from way back anyway, because even if it's a new concept, that concept has come from somewhere. It's come from somebody's intuition and from somebody's forefathers, and it's it's that thing anyway. So it might be branded and named as a new concept, but very often these things are based on the stuff that happened years ago, even if it's not consciously based on it. It's that intuitive thing, isn't it?
Yes. And this is so easy to tap. Once you know it and you tap into it, it's actually, it just spirals, and you just get more and more information. And when you realize how everything is so deeply connected with the roots of the trees, with the mountains, and with the sea, it's like, wow, how can I be so homesick for this place and this place?
Because it's all interlinked.
And it's a small world. It really is.
The thing actually that really made me sit up and think when you were talking earlier was the water. Actually, I hadn't considered that before, because the water, yes, it comes originally from whichever source, and then it goes into a stream and a river and then into the sea. But like you say, that could then end up, what comes out of my little stream at my woods could at some point in time turn up in somebody's cup of tea in Adelaide.
Exactly. Yeah. And that, that's quite fascinating in itself. And let's face it, we're all 95% water, and we're all affected by the moon. And then you go into the whole spiral of that thing, and that's quite incredible. It's rocking up on every, the Thames goes into the sea, and then there you go, it goes all around, and that's all connected, and it's all connected, and it's all connected, and that's beautiful. It's like I hadn't
kind of considered it that far before. You sort of like, all the rivers lead to the sea, but it was that next step of thought process that I hadn't taken that step, if you like. So but that's the thing, we don't think past a certain point, but when we actually do think past, it's like, oh wow, that's quite mind-blowing, and especially when you go back and you do the ancestors and you go right back to prehistoric man, and you think, my God, we could be related. It's like, wow, you actually think that. It's like, God, really, actually we're all connected, we're all actually all one, really, and we come from the same source. Which is crazy. Just mind-blowing. And most people can't comprehend that. It is crazy. We're all sleeping with a relation, really. That's not right, is it? It's all very odd.
Not a bit too much to handle, but it's true. It really is true. We're all connected and all related, and then that actually makes it more like, actually, we're really family unit, and actually we should be looking after each other. We should be looking after the earth, because if we're all connected and everything, I'm connected to the stone people, I'm connected to the plant people, I'm like, I need to honor and respect everything. When you actually look at it, it's like, wow, it's quite mind-blowing, really.
It is mind-blowing, definitely.
It just,
so earlier on you showed us your belt that had your 13 balls on there, but am I right in thinking you've got some other ones as well that you've got?
I've got just these ones, and I've got another section of which has got a bit of which I don't know here. I've got another, because I did quite a few of them. So there we go.
Yeah. Oh, look at them.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. There. Oh.
So did you carve those?
I carved them. Yeah. I've carved them. They're quite small. And I like small things in my hands, but then, you know, I couldn't think it. But I am going to make some big ones out of stone. But I haven't done that yet. I mean, I've got the whole chumpy stones that I can show you, but I mean, you know, we're not really working with the chumpy stones. That's a completely different.
Yeah.
Isn't it? When you think about, you know, pyramids, and you think actually there's pyramids in China, there's pyramids in Egypt, and there's pyramids in Peru and places like that. It's like, hang on a minute. And then
they found a new pyramid in Turkey, haven't they?
Oh wow! You see what I mean? It's like, you know, all these people are making the same thing, and that how come we're all making the same thing? But we're so many miles apart. There's got to be something connected in it, and that just shows again we're all connected and we're all thinking on the same lines. There's, you know, even to the extent of cave artwork and paintings, everybody's painting similar things in different places all around the world. Well, that's got to mean something. You know, they're not going to go pick up the phone and go, "Hey, can you paint that over there in that over there, please?"
I really like what you did. I really like what you did with the bear. Do you mind if
I like that?
Yeah.
I'm going to paint it over this one. Do you mind? And I'll just put it with a sand print. You know what I mean? It's like, crazy, right?
Yeah, but no. Yeah,
but no. Yeah, I know, right? It really does mean something. And it's like, wow. I mean, the cave painting, we can go into that. That's a huge thing. But the whole thing with the cave paintings and this, it was like, wow, I'm really at home. I mean, I even made a drum that actually I spray painted with red ochre that I actually bought, that was made from red ochre from like old source way. And I actually did the blowing of my hand, actually did it the old way with I think an old straw that I had, and did it and sprayed my hand on both sides, so on my drum. So that was quite amazing to do. You know, just the same way as they did in the cave paintings. I just love it. I just think we just need to tap into it more, and that it's there. It's like, you know, it's like going into a library that you found the key for, and it's like, oh, where do I start? Where do I start? What knowledge do I want first? And but it's free to everybody, and that's what the beautiful thing about it is.
Wow.
It's quite mind-blowing. It really is. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's why I'm like, when I'm trying to talk about it, it's like I'm still like it, like, oh wow, I'm talking about this and it's just wow, and I'm very passionate about it. Because I believe in empowering people and connecting people deeply, you know, and that's important. And I think to connect here on Earth is really important, because everybody's so keen on getting out and, you know, out to the heavens or whatever, and connecting to that higher divine source. And it's like, yeah, that's great, that's brilliant, but you've got to be able to really bring that down. And if you're really rooted and grounded, and you've got your Neolithic sphere and you're really grounded, think about what you can channel back. Just step back and think about that in itself is like, oh, okay, right, that's huge. That's huge. It is. You're then what we would call completely the hollow bone, because you've worked on your stuff, and you're like, I don't know, a bit of a stringy, one of those kids, you know, the cheese stringy things, you know, you can stretch it, like, you know what I mean, you know, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like, you're like one of those, and it's like, that's channeling, that's bringing that energy in, and you can use that for them as well. That's what I would use mine for. I've used mine for many different things, and certainly for healing for myself. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, I've placed it on various chakras, and depending on what I need at the time, or if I need more communication with my voice, I'll put it on my throat, and I'll go all the way through, all the way down. Because the nodules actually represent each chakra. So number 1 is your base chakra, and then you go up 7 chakras. That's how they work. Wow. Mind blowing. I can't believe it. I mean, can you believe that? It's already 9 o'clock. No way. It is. I know. Crazy. But if can I just actually say that quickly, people can actually make these out of Fimo. You know, if they go
Oh,
on look
really?
after them, just make them out of Fimo, and you've got your own then. But I do
That's a
recommend it.
brilliant idea.
Yeah, yeah,
What about
yeah.
if
It's
they're
not.
made from? I was going to say, what about if somebody wanted to make one from wood?
Mine are made from wood because it was easy to carve. I think just work with something that you want to work with that represents it for you, and that's important because it's power of intention, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what it's made out of. It's the power of your intention that this is what it is, and that's what it will be.
Yeah.
But I would recommend that people make a set for themselves.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's brilliant. Can't wait for your book to come out.
Yeah, it's being proofread. This is the 4th time, so hopefully it will be there soon.
Wow,
yeah,
amazing. Well, Hans, thank you so much for talking to us about that. It's absolutely fascinating, mind blowing. Everyone's been just silent listening to you. So
okay, silent or falling asleep, one of the two.
No, absolutely blown away, I think. So thank you so much for coming and talking.
Thank you for having me.
If anybody has any further questions that occurs to them afterwards, then obviously you can put comments in. Ask a question, make a comment in our comments underneath today's show. So and you'll be happy to answer any questions, wouldn't you, Hans?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Big round
thank
of
you
applause
for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
This is where we do the awkward wave. Here we go.
Awkward wave. Oh, like this.
And again, keep going. Keep going.